Welcome back to BS Sports Talk. Buy, sell, and waiver wires for fantasy football week 1.
Yep. The biggest of them all. I think week 1 is so important.
Yes.
All right, first up, that waiver wire.
Yep, let's hit that waiver wire, boys.
I think the biggest guy, I think, is Nyheim Hines.
Absolutely. Yep. Nyheim Hines is the, in my opinion, the number one waiver wire target this week.
Yeah, I think with the injury to Mac going down, you got Taylor there, who obviously, is going to be a stud.
Absolutely.
But, I feel like especially starting out, I think they're going to want the coaching staff even come out and said they're going to split some carries. I think Hines is still the clear number one, even though Taylor did get 6 receptions.
Yes,
Look good.
Absolutely.
Hines is definitely not going anywhere.
He knows the system. He's well versed in it. I think Nyheim Hines' role, while Jonathan Taylor is still getting implemented into the NFL, Nyheim Hines is going to see a nice role. I feel like it will be a sexy flex play most weeks.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think, with Rivers being there, and look what he did.
Yeah.
With Eckler and Gordon.
Yeah.
Could have that same scenario there.
Absolutely, because you can line Hines up outside. You can line him up in the backfield to catch passes. I'd love to see a little bit of Hines and Taylor on the field at the same time.
There you go.
Make it happen, Colts.
Yep. All right, next up, Russell Gage.
I know. Sneaky good week.
Looking good. He did get a lot of targets at the end of last year.
Yep.
Didn't translate it into too much. Couple of decent games.
Yeah.
But man, with the way he looked, I mean, if you're thin at wide receiver, you got some guys who maybe have some injury concerns. He's definitely a guy to get and stash on your bench.
And Atlanta's going to be passing the ball. Their defense has not gotten any better. Yep. They had a lot of injuries in that secondary. Yep. Russell Wilson tore them up. They play, I believe, Dallas this week. So look for them to be in another shootout because they just don't have the defense to contend with people. Russell Gage is a nice stash option, especially if you have Michael Thomas and you're needing somebody because you're thin at wideout. Russell Gage is a nice piece to add.
Yep.
As is your boy.
Yeah.
Your boy, as we've talked about a lot.
Scotty Miller, big on him in the preseason.
Yes, he is.
Tom Brady was really liking him.
Yep.
I think, especially with the injury concerns with Evans and now Godwin and the concussion protocol.
Absolutely.
Really likes him, Scotty Miller. I think his role is going to continue to blossom in that offense.
He has a chance to flourish as wide receiver 3 there. There's times he'll be matched up with a safety, a linebacker, who knows. That he's good, he's fast, he runs nice routes. Brady will find him.
Yep. Next up, Malcolm Brown.
What a week for Mr. Brown.
Taking over that backfield.
He solidified that backfield is his.
Yep.
It is not Cam Akers. It's not Henderson's. That backfield belongs to Malcolm Brown until he says otherwise.
Yep.
Nice pickup. Go find him if you need some running back depth. I like Malcolm Brown.
Yep. Another guy to look at, Benny Snell.
Benny Snell.
He's one, not as 100% going to be a clear-cut stud, but there's potential there.
There is so much potential there. He was out playing James Conner when they were playing beside each other.
Yep.
Benny Snell was a beast at Kentucky. He looked great. He was hitting the hole hard. He saw it. He had great field vision. Benny Snell's somebody I like. Even when James Conner's healthy, I think Benny Roll has a role in that Steelers offense.
Yep. Next up, timeless AP.
Mr. All-Day Adrian Peterson.
Man, looked good. Looked really good.
He looked fresh. He was hitting, 14 carries, 90-plus yards, 3 receptions. I think he's going to see similar production or more because Carrion didn't do anything. DeAndre Swift dropping that ball late. They may look to depend on Adrian Peterson a little bit more than they thought they were going to have to. Go stash him. Go find him. He'll be a nice bye-week play.
Yep. Another one, wide receiver, Traquan Smith.
Yep.
He's a guy, with Thomas going down with the injury.
Yeah,
could be maybe 2 or 3 weeks, could be even longer than that.
Yes.
Obviously, other guys, Sanders, Cook, Kamara, those guys are going to be leaned on a little more. But Traquan Smith is a guy who even Drew Brees said at the beginning of the year said that he was a breakout candidate. So I think Brees likes him, and we'll see.
And teams are going to focus on Sanders, Kamara, Jared Cook.
Yep.
It's what's going to happen. So Traquan Smith, I feel, has he's very athletic. Drew Brees likes him. I think he could be a nice pickup.
Yep. Up next, another rookie. I like Laviska Shenault.
Yes.
I think, especially where he landed with the Jags,
yeah.
I think they are the perfect team because they'll be able to utilize him like he was utilized in Colorado.
Yep.
So that's not only as a wide receiver, that is in the backfield.
Lined up at Wildcat.
Yeah, Wildcat quarterback. I mean, this guy can score from so many places on the field.
Yep.
That's what makes him
had a touchdown week 1.
Team. Yeah, looked good.
The fact that week 1 they lined him up in the Wildcat let you know Jacksonville trusts him.
Yep.
So look for him to, I think, his role to even be expanded and used more.
Yep.
Laviska's somebody that I think that, especially in dynasty leagues, if he's not rostered, there's a problem. If you're in a redraft league and you got a deep bench, it don't even have to be super deep. Laviska Shenault's a nice stash. He's somebody that has a lot of upside.
Yep, I think big time upside for Laviska. So now we're going to go into the buys and sells here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's segue right into it. Let's talk about a guy, key injury this week. If you drafted him high, chances are that you are panicking a little bit with Michael Thomas. If you're in a league where you have that guy who is panicking some on Michael Thomas, go get him. Even if you wait a week to where he's like, oh no, this is the second week he's on the bench. Michael Thomas, find that guy in your league who panics, pay a little bit, go get him, because no matter what you give for him, unless you're giving up Barkley or Calf or Zeke, something like that, if you trade for Michael Thomas, you're getting the better end of the deal later on, especially Dynasty.
Yeah, there's definitely some potential there. It just depends on the league you're in and who has them. But there definitely will be some guys out there who kind of overreact to the injury and might sell him for cheap. So definitely, take a look at it, take a swing. Throw an offer out there, see what you get.
You never know what'll stick, especially if they're thin at wideout. So.
Yep. Next up, Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, somebody I really like. Had a good game, first good game in Denver. Philip Lindsay has the turf toe day to day. Going to get a second opinion on it, so we'll see what that turns out to be.
Yep.
But Melvin Gordon put up, I believe, 14 odd fantasy points. He did have a fumble, but he was utilized well in the rushing game. He was utilized in the passing game, and it was his first game with the Denver Broncos. So I look for him to only improve. Somebody in the beginning of the year, I was a little bit more like, oh, how's the split share going to be with Philip Lindsay? I don't think that it's going to be too bad.
I'm bigger in that backfield. I'm bigger on Gordon than I am Lindsay.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think Denver Gordon is the one. Lindsay is the two.
Yeah,
for sure.
Go get Melvin Gordon now before he blows up and has some good weeks. Go grab you some Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm high on this kid. Somebody that I feel like you should go and buy stock in. He didn't have the flashiest stat line week 1, but what he did do is lead the Pittsburgh Steelers in targets.
Yep.
He tied Juju for catches with 6. I feel Deontay Johnson is somebody that you can put on your roster. He's going to be a sneaky good use later. He's building that rapport with Big Ben, and when you're the number 1 target share on your team, that I say go buy some stock. Yeah,
and I feel like at this point you can get him for a relatively cheap price.
Yep.
That I think the for what you can get him at right now and his potential, I think it could definitely be worth going after.
Especially because he's somebody that Big Ben has also name dropped through training camp, said he can't wait to get into game speed with him and play with him because he always finds an opening. Go buy some Deontay Johnson.
Yep. Next up, we'll go with a guy, a rookie, J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
He's one to where I think his role is just going to continue to expand in that offense.
Absolutely.
Especially with the 2 touchdowns in the red zone looks. That was definitely a lot more than I even thought they were going to utilize him.
Because I didn't expect goal line carries for him. Yep. I didn't expect that. I expect a little bit of passing utilization and a little bit of working the ball downfield. I expect the goal line to be Ingram's, to be completely honest. So Dobbins stealing those 2 touchdowns, I'm pleasantly surprised by that.
Yep.
Joe Mixon.
Yep.
Okay. He had 69 yards, 19 carries. You might find an owner panicking a little bit if you can ship off a Raheem Mostert and some touches or some picks or other players, somebody like that. Go buy somebody who's panicking a little bit on Joe Mixon. Yep. The guy always starts out slow, and then as the season progresses, he finishes strong.
Yeah, I mean, with that offense, obviously they have Joe Burrow, rookie quarterback, so they're still kind of trying to figure out who they are.
Yes.
And the same thing last year. Mixon kind of started out slow, really started to turn on in the last half of the season. So he's a guy that
tore up last half of the year.
So he's a guy that you definitely might be able to get depending on who has him.
Yep.
For a cheaper price, who I think will really pay
especially
off.
If he's not super successful this week against the Browns, because it's a Thursday night game. It's a quick turnaround. Joe Mixon's somebody to watch if you have a user or a person in your league drops to 0-2, 1-1, and they get a little bit nervous and want to make moves. Go get you some Joe Mixon stock.
Yep. All right, we'll transition into some sells, which I think the number one immediately, Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins is the best Week 1 player
I've ever seen.
And then after that, the man disappears.
Drops off.
He is gone.
Yep. Every year he's done it.
Yep.
I think he's one. Definitely sell now.
If you got somebody who wants to give you anything for Sammy Watkins,
pick up whatever you can.
You go get it, because I guarantee you he's not going to produce like Week 1 anymore this season, because he doesn't do it.
Now, if this is the year where he does produce, call BS on
Call
us.
BS.
That's one.
Go back to this video. Tell us we're wrong.
Yep.
We won't be, but you can tell us.
Yep. Next up from that same game, Will Fuller.
Will Fuller, man.
Yeah. Not a bad game. Looked good.
Always shows potential.
Yep.
But he doesn't play a full season ever.
Never finished a full season.
So Will Fuller for me is somebody, if you're getting some potential looks and somebody's buying into Deshaun Watson, connecting with him, sell Will Fuller for what you can sell Will Fuller for. He will string together good games. He will string together big games.
Yep.
But what he won't do is string together multiple games in a row this season where he's healthy.
Yep.
It just isn't going to happen.
Yep.
Next up, this is a personal sell of mine that if you can get rid of him, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep.
I like Juju. I love Juju. He had 6 catches on 6 targets, 60-some yards, 2 touchdowns. Look, he's going to play number 1 cornerbacks. The Giants had Bradbury out there covering him. They were weak in the secondary.
Yep.
He got wide open for some touchdowns. That's not happening every week.
Yep.
Other than that, Deontay Johnson out-targeted it. I think Juju, if he's on your roster and you're getting offers for somebody who's buying hard right now, push him for everything you can get and move Juju. I feel like there's other receivers that provide better upside for you long term than what Juju will this year.
Yeah, I think definitely Claypool had a nice catch.
Yeah.
James Washington was there, had like 11 fantasy points. I think they're going to cut into that share.
Absolutely.
I think I would definitely sell Juju now for what you can get him for, why the price is high. Because I do predict a tail off.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see, he's not going to put up 2 touchdown games every week. The 60 yards maybe, 60-some yards, but I don't know that Juju's a wide receiver 1. Just being honest. If you don't like that take, call BS on it.
Yep. Next up, Raheem Mostert.
Raheem Mostert. Yeah. I've already sold him. In one league.
Had a big game. Looked good.
Decent game, yeah.
But a lot of that came, there was the one big reception play.
Yep.
But other than that, he had 3.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, and
I just don't think he's going to be able in that offense to keep up that volume.
Jerick McKinnon
looked good.
Looked real good. Put up 14 points, I believe, fantasy PPR stats.
Yep.
Tevin Coleman, they will give Tevin Coleman the ball when he plays.
Yep.
I just think that you will see a committee approach. Mostert may be the guy who's in there pounding the rock the most, but when you have McKinnon who will take passes, you have Coleman who will take passes, they both can carry the ball. Yep. You have to be worried about depending on Mostert. So if you can capitalize on Week 1 success like he had this week, absolutely sell Raheem Mostert.
Yep. Last one on the list, Nick Chubb. I think
sell Nick Chubb.
Get what you can. It's one of those. I think just they have 2 number 1 backs with Chubb and Hunt.
Yep.
And I just don't think that the volume is there to be as good as a lot of people.
Especially where he was drafted, too.
Yes.
Drafted, again, into first, early second. I think Nick Chubb's a good back. But if you look at Kareem Hunt and you take Kareem Hunt from a couple years ago, he's not Nick. He's head and shoulders above where Nick Chubb was. Nick Chubb had 10 carries for 60 yards. Sounds great. He had a 29-yard carry. Outside of that, he was mediocre at best, and he fumbled. Kareem Hunt out-touched him, was out there in the passing game. I look for Chubb. I'm not saying Chubb's going to be phased out. I'm not saying that Chubb's not going to be using that offense and he's not going to have an okay season. But I don't think Nick Chubb is going to live up to the value of where he was drafted in most fantasy leagues.
Yeah, especially you got to consider game flow as well. I mean, he averaged, I think it was 6 yards per carry, like you said. He had the one big run, but they're not going to be in a situation where they can run all the time. They're going to be playing from behind most of the time.
Yep.
I think definitely sell you some Nick Chubb. there are better options out there.
I agree. If you can move him for something nice, try and get a Jonathan Taylor out of Nick Chubb. I'm a JT guy.
Yep. All right, guys, that does it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button and share with your friends.
Yep. If you don't like anything that we said, come call BS in the comments and we'll get back at you.
Yep.